Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Samson. Yeah, you are at the right place. Hopefully, you will learn a little bit of Rust and become interested in learning the language in general. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome, Soro. Any takers, or shall we continue with the presentation? So please, yeah, if you want, you can just talk now, and then we can, yeah, move over to the presentation. Okay. Yeah, if you are not comfortable in talking, you can also post in the chat, no problem. You can just introduce yourself there. Well, apart from being this a workshop series, we also, this is like a sort of a connection between the developers so that you can know that Soro does this or Samson or Jimmy, yeah, to get to know each other and maybe later on collaborate on different projects. All right. So yeah, thank you guys for introducing yourself, and yeah, glad you guys are here and nice to meet you guys. So the next thing that we're going to look is so this project initially, what I had in mind was more of a beginner and intermediate focused, but when I say beginner, I'm hoping that at least you have gone through the Rust book, because as I said, the series overview will be generally building backend development. So that will range from writing a full-blown API with its test, property testing, fuzzy testing, integration testing, unit testing, exploring a lot of the Rust ecosystem and the crates that are related. Yeah, that the crates that are related to the web development as well. We will also be looking into CI/CD development and all. All right, so yeah, I know you guys are here. Most of you know what Rust is, but just as a general introduction for people who have never seen the language or have gone through it, I'm just going to do a little bit of introduction to the Rust language. And yeah, if you guys are interested, I'm actually using this is actually an interesting project that I saw in GitHub, and it's called Present Time, and it's basically a way to present any presentation that you're doing via the terminal instead of the normal slides or PowerPoint. You can just it's very neat. It's very simple. You can just present your whole project or via the terminal. All right. So you guys already know what is Rust. So basically, the Rust is a system programming language. It is in domain with languages such as C, C++, and the project initially was developed by Mozilla Research, and the first version, the alpha and the beta version, were released in 2010, and then we had the first stable version in 2015. And at that time, it was I forgot the name who developed, but at first they started as a hobby project, and then it just went full blown and become the Rust language that we know. And I think you guys know that this is the most beloved language in the Stack Overflow for over 7 years consecutively. So if you take a look at the Stack Overflow survey, you'll see that the most loved language is the Rust language, and many people say that this is a language that they would like to develop their software. And then, so the main focus of Rust is safety. As you know, we have in the Rust language, we use the ownership management, which helps a lot in when it comes to borrowing and ownership in the language itself. And apart from safety, since it is a strictly compiled language, you'll get a lot of benefits such as checking the compilation, checking all the types of compilation, and whenever you have like maybe you created a variable as an integer instead of decimal, that means you'll get an error. The software won't actually compile. And apart from that, from the safety features, we have concurrency. The book also terms this as fearless concurrency, and luckily it's actually one of the strengths of the Rust languages, the Rust language itself, because I think if you guys have seen, have developed with the Rust language in concurrency related applications or development, there's a lot of primitive around the concurrency, which usually helps in preventing data races, preventing preventing deadlocks in the program system when you're doing multi-threading. The other is performance. Actually, from the book, it says it's a blazing fast language, and if you've seen that, there's a lot of rewrites in different toolings and systems that have been written in Rust, which have actually benefited from the performance that it offers. And yeah, so basically our hello world, it looks like this. Fed main is just very simple, and then we have the print line, which is a macro. Hello Rust. And then, as I said earlier, so why do you want to develop with Rust? So the first being as I said earlier, it is memory safe without garbage collection, because the ownership, the borrow and ownership management usually takes care of whether a variable needs to be deallocated, it needs to be removed from system. So that is the benefit. The main benefit is the memory safety. As you know, many of the vulnerabilities, problems, and bugs usually come from memory leaks, in which Rust helps a lot. I think you guys have seen on Windows, we have a lot of bugs, vulnerabilities every time, and around 80%, if I recall correctly, is about memory leaks, right? So usually the Rust ownership management prevents common errors like null or dangling pointer references. And then, so there is no need, since it doesn't need a garbage collector, we have a predictable performance compared to other garbage collector languages such as Python, Java, among others. So the other one is the zero cost abstraction. You get to enjoy almost a lot of features from the Rust language with like no runtime overhead. So usually with many languages, they come with the runtimes, and then there's that overhead of the runtime. So with Rust, we don't actually have, some people say that it does have a minimal runtime, but generally it is negligible. And then, as I said earlier, we also have compile time checks, ensures abstraction don't impact performance. And then we also talked about concurrency. We have built-in support for self-concurrent programming, prevent data races at compile time, and then performance. So the performance is actually comparable to C and C++, while enjoying the benefits such as the safety features of the language. Then, yeah, we have fine-grained control over system resources. And usually this one means, uh, I don't know if there are some embedded system guys here, but it allows you to control down to the allocators in the whenever you're trying to build maybe an embedded system, like an embedded like the Raspberry Pi or things software for it. You can actually control down to the minute details. So which usually helps in constrained environments, which have, I mean, constraints such as memory or in terms of RAM, storage, performance. So yeah, one of the good features is that we have a fine-grained control over system resources. And then reliability. I know that for the better part of 3 years, Rust actually allows you to catch a lot of bugs before even the program is compiled. And I will not tell you that it will not usually detect logic bugs, but when it comes in types and sort of things like that, it's usually very good at detecting whether you're using the wrong types or something like that. And it comes inbuilt with the language. And then, yeah, we have extensive testing tools and practices built into the ecosystem. Usually we have what we call Rust idiomatic, whereby there is some certain guidelines that have been written by the Rust Foundation on how to write the Rust language, on how you can use the Rust like language primitives that they offer. And then yeah, so a couple of who uses Rust. A lot of actually big companies nowadays use Rust, and I think you have seen there's a lot of rewrites, a lot of migration over to the Rust language, which is good because that means it ensures the longevity of the language as well as the resources, the jobs, and things like that. So the first one being Mozilla, I think they're building a web engine called Servo, but recently I heard that they stopped doing that. Dropbox uses this, Cloudflare actually uses this, and they have written a major program called Pangora. Was it Pangora? I think, if I recall correctly. This is basically another version of Nginx, if you have ever used Nginx. And then we have Microsoft, which are actually rewriting some parts of the Windows, and then the Linux kernel. This is the biggest one, and then we also have Google writing some of the components from Android to many engine components in Rust. So this shows that the language is quite popular with these big tech companies. And yeah, this one also, it shows that there is that longevity of the language. Okay, so you might ask yourself, what can you build with the Rust languages? And I have written some couple of examples. Uh, it is a versatile language. That means you can build something small as a web server to full-blown operating systems, compilers, browser engines, and so on and so forth. So a couple of examples is web servers and APIs. One of them is Axam. We have Actix, we have Rockets. There are many of them. We have a lot of command line tools written in Rust, libgrep. I usually use another one called Eza, which is the version of LS if you guys use Unix operating system or the Linux operating system. And then we have operating systems which are written in Rust, like Redux OS. This is still actually in sort of alpha stage. And we also have another operating system which was recently released by Vivo, the mobile company, and it's called Blue OS, which is an operating system for embedded devices. And then we have, usually microcontrollers on IT devices. We have game engines like Bevy, Amethyst, and then many of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies are written in Rust. One of them is the ICP, the Nia Core. We also have Solana. And then we have a couple of major Ethereum clients such as Reth, which are written in Rust, and they're used extensively across the blockchain ecosystem. Another example is browser engine Servo. This one was a project that was written by Mozilla, and they were trying to write a browser engine. And then we also have network services. We also have TKV, which is a distributed key value store that's written in Rust. We also have Cloudflare, what was it called? Yeah, Pangora, which is reverse proxy. It's just a networking component which you can write with its reverse proxies and things like that, load balancers. And then, yeah, compilers and program language. We have CraneLift. This is a code generator. We also have another language called Gleam. I don't know if you have seen that. And then system utilities. Some of the, like find, like this is used for FD. It's used for the find command. We also have that in Rust. So you can see it's a really versatile language which you can build with a lot of things, from CLI tools to small game engines. And then, so let's come back to what this workshop is about. So that was just a little bit introduction to the Rust language. I will not be going through the, syntaxes or functions or enums, things like that. The books does a pretty good job on that. Please, if you are new to Rust, just give it a shot. The book is pretty simple. Everything is laid out correctly. We have exercises there. Sorry, there are no exercises, but I think we have another Rust links exercises, which have Rust exercises that you can practice on. So let's come back to this workshop series. So what are we trying to achieve, right? What is the point of this series? So this will be majorly focused in backend development. I think a lot of people usually do backend. Rust is not really strong when it comes to front end. It's very young. We have libraries, but it's not a mature in the front end side. But for the back end side, we have a lot of high performance APIs which are written in Rust. So from this series, which will be spanning several weeks, starting today, and then we can have maybe one in alternative weeks, and then I will write the schedule for each of the upcoming Rust workshops that we'll have. So from the series, what do we expect at the end of the series? What do we want to know? What do we learn? And so I have written down some things that I'm expecting that we'll get to explore, we'll get to know. And first of them is building the API server. So as I said, we'll be building a small API server. This will not be a full-blown one like e-commerce or something like that. I was just mainly thinking of writing a small API which mainly composes of authentication and then a CRUD operation on something like products maybe. So we can have something like e-store, a very small web application which will have just authentication, and then so that it will take a lot of time to build a full API like the e-commerce. So we'll just take a small one, but we'll be writing in a production level. So we'll have rigorous testing. Let me actually go through the list. So building API, and we're using mainly Axam. So we will have a lot of, there's a lot of web libraries. We have Servo, we have Axam, we have Actix, we have Rocket, WAP. There's a lot of them. So please, you are welcome to choose any project, any web project that you want to do. So if you want to pick up WAP, please do so. If you are good in Actix, you can look. And so for our series, we'll be using Axam, and this is built by the Tokyo guys, who have a lot of libraries such as the Tokyo itself, Axam. We have the Tower series. Something that I would like to mention is, for the whole series, this is more of an opinionated workshop, right? Whereby a lot of what I will be writing is, most of them are from my opinion and the good practices of general backend development. So please, people can have different views. You understand? Maybe someone doesn't like Axam, that is okay. But so it will be mainly opinionated. So you can, I will be doing what I have done in the past projects, the best practices, what I've learned from there, and we'll be putting this into that series. But there's no, I would like just a disclaimer, there's no right way to do these things. usually with the software engineering paradigm is very huge. There's a lot of ways to do something. So please, when we go through the whole series, if you have a better way to do this, since this is like a learning opportunity for both of us, from me as the presenter and you guys as the listeners and the who will be doing the workshop. So please, you can have your own way of doing things, and it's not wrong, right? So yeah, just to recap, we'll be building the API server using Exam, and then since I said it will be a small web API, we'll also be doing a CRUD operation, and we can do a lot of things. So you are free to choose if you want to do product, if you want to choose orders or things like that. So please, you are free to do any kind of CRUD operation that you want to do on your ecosystem. And then we'll be connecting the API to a database. And for this series, I'm looking into using CRM. There's SQLX if you guys are interested in that. As I said, it's a learning opportunity. If you guys want to explore SQLX, you can take a look at that. If people are more comfortable using CRM, they are free to do so. Personally, I've been using SQLX for all of my project, and I wanted to try something new for around this time, and CRM comes highly recommended, and it just hits a release version 1.0, so I thought for me it would be an opportunity to learn. There's no wrong in learning a couple of libraries. And then, yeah, since I said earlier, we'll be building the small API, and this will be mainly focused on the authentication being the first part, and the second part will be CRUD, and then for session management, we'll come to Redis. For this introduction, we will not be delving into exactly what we'll be doing. I think I saved that for the next meeting that we'll have. Now it's just a series overview. And then the other one, yes, will be exploring the Rust ecosystem. So if you go to the crates.io, if you go to the Rust crates, there's a lot of crates around. You don't know which crate that you're going to use. So in this series, we'll also be exploring the Rust ecosystem. We'll be discovering tools, libraries, and resources which we can use it for our backend development. We will be using several libraries, from popular libraries to smaller and known libraries. Yeah, we'll be using a lot of these tools in Rust. So as I said, we'll be writing a full blown, so that means we will be using libraries such as Sardi, Tokyo, which, yes, I'm expecting that the session will be recorded, and I think here it has a recording ongoing, and I think from my side I also have a recording ongoing. So yeah, it will be recorded. Okay, so yeah, we'll be using a lot of the tools and libraries that are around. We'll be exploring tools like Cargo Make, and then we'll be, yeah. So also up in the Rust ecosystem, we'll also be exploring the general backend development, such as integrated Open API, how to build client libraries from OpenAI, and things like that. And then when we come to the testing and debugging section, we will be writing unit tests, integration tests, property-based tests. We will also be writing fuzzy testing. We will also be, hopefully, in the series, we'll also be able to cover load testing, whereby we write our own API and then we look at the throughput, how many requests can it handle, how many concurrent requests can we send, how many users can, we'll be discovering something like that. And also in the exam itself, we will be also exploring middlewares, such as one of the popular ones is the course middleware, which usually implements. And then we'll be looking at rate limiting, because we don't want people to bombard our API and just, in DDoS attacks. We'll also be writing timeout layers. We will also be exploring, I think, that should be all. And also by the tracing and monitoring system. And then the other, we will be expecting to explore CI/CD development, continuous integration, continuous development, whereby we'll be setting up GitHub Actions to run tests to build images, and then try to push this over to the deployment that we'll be going to do, and that is the other section will be deployment and monitoring. For deployment and monitoring, will be explore different. Can we use shuttle.rs? Yes, please, you can. So shuttle RS, yes, you can. You have the opportunity to use. Just a minute. Sorry, guys, just give me 1 minute, please. Auntie, Shika. Auntie. So for the person who asked about Shuttle RS, we will not be using in this series, but as I said, since this is a workshop, you are free to come up with your own deployment. And so in this series, what I wanted to do was try to do this in a way we are not vendor locked in. So usually if you deploy with Shuttle RS, that means we'll be using Shuttle RS, and it usually seems easy to do that because they have great toolings which usually help with the deployment. But for us, I was mainly thinking of hosting on a virtual machine. Yeah, hosting on a virtual machine, connecting that domain. So a little bit of going into the depth with the deployment strategies. But yeah, please, if you want to use Shuttle RS, you can do that. But for us, I'm thinking of deploying to a virtual machine, setting up a virtual machine where we are running our Rust application, setting up a database, a managed database that is, and a managed Redis if we want to do that as well. And then from there, when we set up our deployment, we will be, I think that should be the last part. We will be linking. Yes. Yeah, so just exactly. VPS are very cheap. You can just get since the binaries are very small. It is very fast. A $5 VPS will do the work instead of usually with. I think the pricing from Shuttle starts about $20 per month, and for the VPS, that means anytime you want to transfer away from it will be just as simple as just getting the Docker images and just hosting there, then linking the domain directly to your VPS machine. So yeah, we'll be looking into exploring the deployment to VPS, containerizing Rust application, and then we will also be setting up monitoring and telemetrics and logging for our API server, and we'll be using, so usually the most popular ones is Grafana and Prometheus for monitoring, but we'll be using OpenServe. This is a Rust tool which supports both tracing errors, tracing, logging, monitoring, and observability in a single library. So we'll be using that. I actually discovered this some weeks ago, and it's a great tool. So instead of usually using Sentry for tracing and then using Prometheus with Grafana on another side, we'll be just using all of them in the open observe. So I have actually posted the link right here. If you guys, if some of you do backend development Rust, this is actually an interesting library. You can take a look. Yeah. So I think, and then the final, when we deploy our VPS, we ensure everything is working okay. I'll be using one of my existing domains to just link the API so that we can just get that general overview of how we can link an API, our domain to a VPS machine, and we will have like a subdomain api.example.com, and then we'll connect that to our, yeah. As you can see, it's a lot of things, and I'm hoping that we'll get the opportunity and the time to go through this. but yeah, it will span over several weeks. I will try my best to at least have maybe 1 or 2 meetings in a month. I'm not sure on how long this will take because, as you can see, it's extensive, especially usually with the building finishes pretty fast, and then but when we come to the testing, a little bit more time, as well as setting up the CI/CDs integration um, to then yeah, and then we also have monitoring services and things like that. But yeah, I'm hoping that we will get through this. So yeah, the last thing that we're expecting to do will be okay, it's not happening, it's happening now. Linking with deployment to the domain, so we'll be using service like Cloudflare. I love Cloudflare. Almost all of my projects are hosted in Cloudflare and DigitalOcean as well. And then there's also other other popular cloud services such as Vultr. We have AWS. If you want to use AWS, it's okay. If you want to use GCP, as I said, this is a way of exploring different tools. There's a lot of tools out there that, but for me, usually I go with this DigitalOcean and Cloudflare because they're really easy to set up when comparing to something like GCP or AWS. All right, so that will be the gist of the series that we'll be taking a look. And since today is just an introduction, hopefully I have not said a lot of gibberish people didn't understand. So please, before I go any further, I will just, if you guys have any questions, any doubts on what you're doing, or just need more explanation, please, I will mute myself. You are free to ask any question. If you want, you can also ask in the chat. So please, yeah, let's go ask all the questions you have. I'm free to answer, hopefully. Thank you. Okay, so I guess, yes, go ahead. So one of well, I will come back to that. So one of the things I discussed with Kiari, who's the host, by the way, thank you for also putting the effort and to set this meeting up. So since usually with workshops it is in-person event, and since this will be an offline event, I was thinking that we will be building the project together. We'll be collaborating, whereby I will create a repo, or Kiari will create a repo, and I will be posting the project there, and then I will be leaving comments and some things like that. So whereby you, Lewis, can fork the project and then work on it on yourself, and then maybe just in the discussion you can post this. You say, "Hey, I have done this and this. Can take a look," or something like this, right? Whenever I get the opportunity or time, I can take a look at the solution that you have done, and then maybe in the next session, I will be just going through, well, what's I think the way it should be done. Yours mostly is correct, but yeah, I'll be writing some code on my side, and then I'm expecting that when we finish, the one that I created inside the repo will have all of like a fully fledged API with the deployment with readmes and things like that. And you, Lewis, will be able to also fork it. So just you get that, okay, so this is how it's fully done. But since this is a workshop, I'll be, for each session that we go, I'll be just leaving some, maybe let's say for authentication, right? I can do, I can write maybe just the login or sign up, and then I'm asking for all those who want to participate, you can just finish up on those, add the correct endpoints, and for testing, similar thing. So I'll be writing sort of like maybe a unit test, a template unit test, and then the team, you guys can just finish on the testing, write an integration test or a property-based test or unit testing and so on and so forth, right? That is, but that is what I've thought too. But if you guys have any suggestion, please welcome. Yeah. So just to give you a gist of it, Kiari will be opening a new repo, and for any session that we do, I will leave some comments, I will leave some guidelines on how to finish this up, and then I will just push it to my code. And then I will have another branch which contains a solution or the fully working way on like how someone should go on about if you have no idea on how to do that or need help, or maybe yeah. And since this is an opportunity for learning, please, if you see anything I have done wrong way, or maybe there's a bug, there's a wrong business logic and things like that, you're welcome to comment it, open a pull request to that, or just give a general, yeah. And I'm sure we have a lot of experience Rust, so please, Msiniache hanging, at least, you comment to say, okay, maybe this is not the right way to do this, maybe this is not the best practice. And just to repeat, is all the workshop is more of an opinionated, because there's no 100% accurate way on how to do certain, like the backend development, because a lot of people are different. Some people have different way of idea of doing things, right? Yeah. And then yes, so hopefully you guys will be able to collaborate on that. And if you have a better suggestion, please let me know. Does that answer you? Yeah. Yeah. Please, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. Okay. So that is the general gist of the series that we'll be taking a look. And yeah, so please, if you're a beginner or never have touched Rust, this is an opportunity for you to start looking into this. I think uh, if you just go through the book and learn on the Rust syntax and primitive, I think we can get started on that. And since I said I'll be posting the solution as well, if you can't personally do it or solve a certain problem, you can just take a look on how it has been solved. So hopefully we'll be able to finish this, and you will also be onboarded onto the Rust language, and hopefully, yeah, just love the language and build things in it. Yeah, but this is the software, by the way. It's called Presenter. So you just write your presentation in Markdown, and you're good to present. It's written in Rust as well. Okay, so as I said, as from the agenda, so the series overview, and then just for now, we'll be just setting up our development server. We'll be writing the project, a small hello world kind of API server. So for this, it will be just creating a new project and then just pulling the dependencies that we require. So it's just getting our feet wet, something like that, right? So for the first thing, I'm just going to create a new project, and we are just going to call it eStore, right? It seems a very, I want to call it eStore. Well, it doesn't accept camel casing, so there's no problem. We'll continue with that, and then we can use our editor. So please let me present the other screen. Okay. All right. So I hope you guys can see my screen. Then yeah. So as you guys know, basically when you create a new project, we'll have the cargo YAML file, and then we'll have the source, which is written hello world. If we run this, it should just display hello world. Yeah, hello world. So from here, I will just be pulling. By the way, for all those who don't have the Rust toolings, you can just go to rustlang.org. From there, it's just a single command line that you need to run, which installs everything, and from there you're good to go. You just go create a new project, which is cargo new, and then you are good to go, right? So first thing, since I said earlier, we'll be writing this in exam. I'll be pulling the exam project and Tokyo. So if we go to the cargo terminal, we can just do exam. I think it should be in 0.7. For now, let me just disable this. And then we also pull in exam. I mean, sorry, not exam, the Tokyo. We'll just pull the version. I think should be 1.0.332, I think, if I remember correctly. And then we are just going to get all the features for now. And then from later on, we can just turn the default features off. We just get only the features that we require. So yeah, I mean, sorry, it is 1.40. So let's do that. And then, all right, so we have pulled in the two starting dependency for now. As I said, we'll be just writing a very small API server. And then let's do, so I just opened the documentation on my side. So I'll be just going through documentation as well, just write it there. So yeah, we are going to use the macro attribute Tokyo mains, since it will be an async function. By the way, if you guys can also code side by me, if you can just open your project and then yeah, just create a new project and you can code with me as we just go through and finish this up, right? Okay, so we'll be writing very simple. Why this? I think everything is important, should be fine. I missed the FN. Okay, so yeah, then let's create the router. Yeah, so this is all from exam. So if you just go to the exam itself, you will be able to see what I'm writing now. Yeah, so along the series, by the way, since this will be more of hands-on, you can just open another screen on your side. You can just write the code together, finish it together. So let's create a new router, and for now we are just going to be just, yeah, they will be returning this. Maybe it's a get method, and then we can just do hello world. Okay, so let's run this. Run the server. We're going to do like yeah, the sockets that we need to run. So let me just copy this over. We're just going to run this at port 3000. I mean, you can just copy the whole thing and then you can just see. Okay, so yeah. It takes TCP listener and the service. Okay, so then we'll be writing our hello world. Let me just copy this over. I think the much easier since we are just going through the introduction. Yes, please go ahead, Gary. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, yeah. What about now? Is it okay? Okay. Yeah, please. Thank you. If you can see it properly, please just let me know so that I can, yeah, zoom it in. if it's not mixed in correctly. So I think this should be a TCP listener. Then we do bind, not from. So if you guys have interacted with the exam, it's usually very easy to get it up. So and this we can get rid of this. Just use exam Tokyo. We'll come back to that. We have okay. So yeah, we have that simple function which basically runs the main server, and then we can just have this is just a hello world. So we are going to do async fm. Okay, then maybe just we do this string. So it's completely okay. So it should be not there. Okay, then it should be two string. Okay, so yeah, we have the simple one, and if we run this, let's run the server. I'm hoping you can also see the terminal. Okay, so it's running. I removed the print, but I should be running now. And then if you just do curl, yeah, should get hello world. So yeah, very simple, basic server that we have. So from the next session, we'll be building from here. We'll be looking into, yeah, as I said, as I give it the gist, hopefully by by the next meeting we'll be having, we can write at least some Rust code from writing the fully fledged, and yeah, we'll get that in time, and we'll also be leaving generally some for the participant to finish up with. Okay, so I think for today's meeting, this was what I planned, and we finished it on time. So, yeah, thank you guys for giving me this opportunity, and hopefully, we'll have fun along the series as we delve in more and more into the backend development. If you guys have any improvement, if you have any suggestion for improvement, please. We have a GitHub discussion which is open. We have the Telegram. We also have the WhatsApp group. You are free to comment there on what we can improve. And I'm hoping that for this first session we had, you have been able to understand what you are going to do. And on my part, hopefully I have made sense of what you are going to do throughout the series, and also in terms of just doing the explanation. If you have any comments on the first, on this series itself, yeah, as I said, you're free to comment, just give any suggestion. Yeah, so please, guys, let me know if everything is okay on your side. And before we finish off, if you guys have any question again, please, you are free to ask right now. And for generally for the requirement of the project, in the repo, I'll just write in the README the prerequisite that we need, what like which libraries are we going to pull and things like that. I'll be just write them down. Don't worry about that. And hopefully, as we go along, I'll also be writing a very nice readme which someone can go through and just work on their part. So yeah, guys, I think that's all from me. Please, if you have any comments, you can give now. Anything to do improvement. If you want to introduce yourself, you're also free to do so. Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay, so yes, it has been posted. Yeah, for the discussion and the report that we're going to take a look, it has been posted. Icons developer. Maybe next time we deep dive into async Tokyo Spawn. Yeah. Yes. So for the whole series, for this session, I'll be just creating a branch of that, and then from there we will have I will write like the sort of like a template for that session and some comments, and then I will have another branch for solving them. It's like solving those to-dos. And since as I said, this is a workshop where we need active participation from my side and your side. So in that repo, I will have like a solution branch, and then the workshop itself. And we came also to like I think it will be good if someone can fork it and then just work on their side, and then just fork it on their side, post in the discussion so that maybe I can take a look, or anyone else who is interested. Please, if you have the knowledge and the capacity to also review those, anybody who does some work on the workshops, please do that. I might not be available at all hours or sometimes. So yeah, we'll be from that branch. I'll be writing the sort of a template, and then later on I'll be writing a solution, and you as a participant, you will be forking that, try to work on your side, do your best practices, and then from there you can also take a peek at our branch, at the Rustation branch, and just get some inspiration or guidance from there. Icons developers, maybe next time we deep dive into async Tokyo spawns. Yeah. No, that is an interesting topic, and hopefully, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Ah, yeah. Yeah, no, I think usually when it comes to asyncs and multi-threading concurrency, it's a whole other beast. So yeah, hopefully we can take up on those series. One of a YouTuber that I know and most of you guys know, most probably John Who, has I think it is called Decrusting the Tokyo Crate, whereby he goes in depth. It's actually a long stream session of about 4 hours, 5 hours, where he goes in depth to the Tokyo ecosystem. I mean, sorry, the Tokyo crate, not the ecosystem. And he talks about futures, async trade. He talks about async trade. He talks about the async primitives such as the one that we have, ERC, reference counting. We also have the semaphores. We have the atomic use sizes and things like that. Those atomic primitives, we usually discuss about them. And then he also talks about spawning blocking threads or normalist threads and things like that. So yeah, I think, but it will be good also to have one of us who will be, diving into that topic just to give, general gist of it. We can make suggestion in the group as well. But yeah, thank you for suggesting that. Yeah, his name, yeah, okay. It's called. Let me just post his YouTube channel, and yeah, if you guys want to deep dive into the Rust world, I think that that guy is a must watch. He has really interesting series where he delves into some of the popular crates like Sardi. We also have the Tokyo, and also some of hard topics in Rust like pinning, futures, working with futures, things like that, lifetimes, higher rank bound rate, things like that. Usually, he has a very nice videos talking that. So I'll just post his channel, and you can take a look if you have any time. Yeah, John Jegaset. He's a very good Rust developer. Yeah, I've posted the YouTube channel in the chat. If you have the time, you can also. And he also solves the code crafters. So if you guys know code crafters, it's basically building those toolings like grep or git, redis, building an interpreter with your language so you can actually use code crafters. And he has a code crafter series where he solves those kind of questions. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys. Any questions, anything you want to discuss, or maybe just point out, and even you can comment on the presentation on how I can improve it. So by the way, this is my first presentation, so bear with me if it doesn't seem that good. But yeah, so if you have any comments about the workshop itself, the presentation, you know. Yeah, no guys, thank you. Yeah, so if you don't have any question, I will just leave to my host to comment on it. Kerry, please, you can leave your remarks, and yeah, we can go through. Thank you guys, Winnie and Icons Developer. Thank you. So Kerry, please, the floor is yours. Okay. Well, yeah. For Mike, Mike, for the next session, I will write up the schedule, and yeah, you can take a look at that. So I'm thinking for the next session. Today is September 7th. For the next session,